الذي قصرت عن رؤيته أبصار الناظرين وعجزت عن نعته أوهام الواصفين ثم الصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا حبيبنا وطبيب نفوسنا أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين بالقاسم محمد وعليه الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين ولعنة الدائم على أعدائهم وغاصب حقوقهم ومنكر فضائلهم ومناقبهم أجمعين من الآن إلى قيام يوم الدين. أما بعد، السلام عليكم جميعا ورحمة الله وبركاته. تقبل الله أعمالكم. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept all your fasting, your ibadat, your Quran recitation, as Allah have promised that in this month the reward of recitation of one verse is equivalent to finishing the whole Quran. So mashallah, those who are making an effort, this is the month of accumulating. This is the month of gathering as much as we can. It's like, when there's a sale on and people try to buy a lot of stuff in sale, right? So it's like that. It's not time to waste, no time to waste. We have to go an extra mile in this month. And out of mercy, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is so merciful. Is so merciful that out of His mercy, because of this blessed month, He says that even if you're sleeping, I will count that as ibadat. Every breath of yours is considered as glorification of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Every breath. And this is nothing because of mercy of Allah. Right? I just got reminded of a story of Musa alayhi salam in regards to the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Musa was asked to go to a mountain in the wilderness to meet someone. He said, you go there and you'll meet an old lady there. And Musa went. It was dark, it was night, and finally he reached there. And he saw this old lady who was worshipping and crying. And Musa inquires that, why are you here and what's the story behind this whole thing? She says that I was too much for my children. And my son brought me to this mountain and left me alone so that I don't return back. And Musa was shocked, right, to see this. Musa have these stories of mothers, a person taking care of the mother, the butcher who used to take care of the mother. That famous story, who Musa will be together with in the hereafter. So Allah said to Musa, go look at this butcher. And then that story. And in this one is the opposite, where Musa was shocked to see that this person, what type of person is this, left the mother alone here at night. And she's crying and she's praying. So Musa asked, are you afraid? And that's why you're crying and praying. The mother said, no, because I'm concerned about my son who have just left. And it's dark now. And I'm afraid that he may trip, or maybe a wild beast might eat. So I'm worrying about my son, right? Then Allah says to, oh Musa, my love to the creation is much more than this. Right? I mean, imagine, where can you find that Allah is saying, every breath you're taking, I count that as tasbih. And because we know how difficult it is to do tasbih. It's very difficult. You know how difficult it is to recite Quran. I said, okay, one verse you recite, I give you the reward of whole Quran. This is out of His mercy. Allah looks for different ways to send His mercy. Allah look for bahane, look for a reason. Just like how a mother looks for a reason to feed, to be kind, to kiss the child, to embrace. The same way Allah, He's merciful. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. In the third night of our discussion, and the topic that we had chosen was eschatology, which is Day of Judgment, which is the resurrection, which is known as Ma'ad. And we had mentioned that it's a mysterious journey of soul towards the day of judgment. We are all toiling, we are all traveling towards the day of judgment. As Hazrat Amir says that life, death is the place where life is driving. Our life is driving in that direction. We are going towards the death. And it is really a mysterious journey towards what? Towards an eternal life. A life that will be for eternity, And it comes through, or it goes through different stages and stations, as we mentioned. Now, why does this life have to go through these different stages? These different stations, and what are they? That's what we are discussing. So last night, we kind of pointed out to that in order to know the ma'ad, the day of resurrection, alaykum salam wa rahmatullah, the day of resurrection, the hereafter, it is very important for us to know the origin, mabda wa ma'ad. Now, when we said about mabda, we said that, the key factor of that is for us to understand and realize that who we really are. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that in the hadith of the Prophet, that Allah, wa khalaq Allah Adama ala suratihi. Adam have been created in the form of Allah. Adam have been created in the form of Allah, right? So therefore, as the form of all names, the human substance is able to achieve. So therefore, as an insan, as an Adam, as Allah, we are in the form of Allah. So Allah contains what? Allah contains all the 99 names. When we say Allah, Allah have Rahman in it, Rahim in it, Musawwar in it, Qahar in it, Jalal, Zul Jalal wal Ikram. All the names are in what? What is the mother of all names? The mother of all name is Allah. As they say, Allah bi dhikrillahi tatma'innal qulub. By the zikr of Allah, the souls will tranquil. Just Allah. Right? And Allah, according to Abjad, is 66. So if people have anxiety and trouble and they are afraid of something, if they do the zikr 66 times Allah, just say Allah, 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 Allah. Because Allah bi dhikrillah tatma'innal qulub. So that's how the science of numerology works. Every person have a name, and this name have a number. The names of Allah also have numbers, and that's how they kind of prescribe. This come under the discipline of occult sciences. Within Islam, there's a discipline which we call it occult science, in which you have astrology, astronomy, what do you call numerology, white magic, black magic, all these sort of different, palmistry, face reading, so on and so forth, all different types of, these are called occult sciences. And Hazrat Amirul Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam, was the source and teacher of these sciences. And as a matter of fact, he one of the great student in this science, in occult science, is Ulum Gharibe, was Habib ibn Mazahir. That's why Imam Hussein referred to him as faqih. He's a faqih. Faqih is a person who have profound knowledge of all different disciplines. Not just in the case of ahkam, as we call, probably we tend to, in the contemporary sense, we regard fuqaha as probably they're expert only in, halal and haram. And no, a faqih is a person who has profound knowledge in all different disciplines. So Habib ibn Mazahir was referred as faqih because he was also, one of the reasons could have been also because he was a student of Imam Amirul Mu'mineen alayhi salam in occult science, right? So 66 times, Allah bi dhikrillahi tatma'innal qulub. So now Allah is the name which contains within it, because it's the mother of all names. It contains within it all names. So as insan have been created in the form of Adam, therefore he is able to correspond with the entire cosmos, with the entire creation. I will just explain a bit more here. Now here, Allah, Adam created in the image of Allah. So Allah means that I have the potentiality within me, all of the 99 names. And these 99 names embraces me and I embrace them. The point is that I have to bring this potentiality out in this life. And majority of the time we don't. If we do, then we will become insan kamil. right? Then I will become that Nahnu Asma'ullah, which I was mentioning last night in regards to the Ahl Bayt alayhim salam. They are insan hai kamil. They have reached to that maqam and level where they are mirroring Allah completely, 100%. And I'll talk about this in wilaya, in imamat, where one is baffled when we look at the hadith literature in regards to the maqam and position of the Masumin alayhim salam, right? So here, as we have that potentiality of all of those names, because we are in the image of Allah, right? So we have that potentiality, then this means that we are able and capable of connecting and corresponding and being the ruler of whatsoever exists in the creation. Because none of the creation have been created in the image of God. It is only insan who have created in the image of God. But the other creation have been created with different manifestation of different attributes and names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. For example, Nur is a light, which is Nur is the name of Allah. So wherever we see that Nur is nothing but manifestation of that name of Nur. But it is only insan who have Nur within it, who have Razzaq within it, because he is the provider of food. He has Alim within it. He is the Adil within it. He is the forgiving within it. And he is also the Mumit, as we are talking about the name of Mumit, the one who takes life, the one who gives death. That is why it is recommended on the spiritual level to do Qurbani. Why Qurbani is recommended? Because we take life and we represent the name of Mumit. When we do that, it synchronizes and it balances our personality. It balances who we are, right? Because we have to take life and manifest that name of Mumit of Allah. That's why it becomes recommended. If one doesn't do that, then you have mental health issues. People enjoy killing. That's why you have serial killers. Because there's a kamal and perfection in that. Because that name is in us. One of the name of Allah is Mumit, and we have that name in us. And then if there be an imbalance, this person only manifests that name of Mumit and he becomes a serial killer. Now, in order to control that and channel that name of Mumit, it is recommended to do Qurbani. You see? So, man have that, all of the asma within himself, because he has created in the image of Allah. And the point is that he has to bring this potential out. Every human soul, this is from Mullah Sadra. Sadra was a 16th century philosopher, a great philosopher, Mullah Sadra, Sadruddin Shirazi, and he has written many philosophical works, and he was known as one of the greatest transcendental philosopher, where he made a fusion of the Aristotelian and Neoplatonic philosophy together. He made them together because there's a school of Platonic philosophy, there's a school of peripatetic philosophy, which is peripatetic philosophy as Aristotelian philosophy. The Platonic and Neoplatonism is represented by Sohrawardi. Shahabuddin Sohrawardi, who was known to be the founder of the school of Ishraq, the school of illumination, right? And that is Neoplatonic philosophy. As we were discussing last night about for example, for Plato, knowledge is recollection, because we've been already taught in the world of spirits. And in this world, we are just recollecting it, But however, for Aristotle, is that where a man gradually develops the knowledge, rationally he understands, he gains knowledge. He works towards it. But for Plato, it's not like that. For Plato, it's a recollection. So Sadra was the one who kind of, combined the Aristotelian philosophy and also the Platonic philosophy, which he came up with the Hikmatul Muta'aliyah, which is known as the transcendental philosophy. So Sadra says that every human soul, because of its primordial nature given by God, is worthy to know the realities of all things. Because Allah have given that, our primordial nature, our fitra have all of the 99 names. Allah have given that. So as we have these names, that means that we are worthy to know the realities of everything that exists, the particularities that is there. We will know the inside out of things. And we will know the inside out of things to the extent if we say kun fayakun. Right? That's what the Anbiya and the Awliya do. You know, when awliya, when Prophet says for the moon to split, it splits. Because moon is just partial reality of what Rasul have in himself. And it's manifested out through Rasul and a command to that partial reality to do what? It becomes the servant of Rasul. That's why, you know, Adam was asked to do sajda by the malaika. وَعَلَّمَ آدَمَ أَسْمَاءَ كُلَّهَا. When you know a name, that means that you know you are the malik of it. When you know a name, through knowing a name, it symbolizes that you are the owner of it, right? When you know a name, you are the owner of it. So Adam was taught the asma of Allah, and through that, whatever the Anbiya and Awliya on whatever level they are, if they say kun fayakun, it will happen that. Because those are particles and, you know, particular, they are small, minute realities, but the real thing is here. So if I reach to that maximum capacity of, for example, you know, adl, or for example, al-amr of Allah, then I could command and do miracles. Whatever I command, it will happen. If I want the wind to take me to another place, it will take. That Tahlul Arz is what? Which the awliya tend to do. They are seen in two places. You know, this is quite famous among the spiritual, personalities. Some say Agha Bahjat used to do that, Sayyid Ali Qazi Tabatabai, and these awliya, that they are every Thursday night from Qom, he would go to Karbala for ziyarat. Although no visa, no fee, nothing required. You know, he just traveled, which is astro body traveling. You know, Sadra discusses in his philosophy that the mind have the capacity to project himself wherever it wants, and as many bodies as he wants. He will project that, and he will be present everywhere. How did Amirul Mu'mineen were present in 40 invitations in one night? And he was actually in the house of Hazrat Zainab Salamullah Alayha having the dinner. But at the same time, who was present, every person was saying, oh, he was with us, he was with us, he was everywhere, right? Because that mind projects the body, right? And not just the body as a hollow body, but at the same time is fully aware of the surrounding and interact and communicate with it, right? So man embraces within himself this ontological perfection. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Now, as we said that, you know, there are these 4 stages that our ruh goes through, our soul goes through. First was in the, you know, non-existential stage, in the knowledge of God, that Allah as the creator. Then in the alam-e arwah, which the Quran also talks about as alam-e zar, right, the world of spirits. And then this from the alam-e zar, from that realm of spirits that we were all dwelling there, we came to this world, which we attach to this body, to this world. Now, when we come to this body, we are faced with peculiarities, with particularities. You know, there are specific things which are not really in the world of archetypes, as Plato would say, the world of archetypes, right? In the world of spirits, these particular things were not there. But in this world, they are there. And a soul must go through these stages, because when we are aware with these particularities in this dunya, one of the things that this soul does, that is that it reflects, or it manifests, or it becomes powerful, or it conquers the name of Musawwir. Allah is what? Allah is known as Musawwir, the form giver. What is your imagination? Who is giving that? Those forms. It is you. You are becoming Musawwir. You are giving those forms, right? Because Musawwir is a kamal, is a perfection. Right? Allah is Musawwir. Insan Kamil should be Musawwir too. So when Insan Kamil, how does Insan Kamil becomes Musawwir? How he will manifest that name? That name can be only manifested when that person is in this world, and that person educates, learns, and becomes aware of the particularities. I look at you as a form because you are in this world. And when I look at you as a form, I recognize you, who you are, I give a name to you, and I see what you're doing. And after that, I sleep. And when I sleep, I dream of you. Who is giving form of yours in my dream? It's me. Right? I'm giving that form. So it's a kamal. And eventually, what happens is that when I start giving these forms and having these dreams, eventually these dreams become and are revealed from the realm of spirits. Then I'm able to connect. So I have learned an art here, and through this art I'm connecting to the realm of spirits. When I'm connecting to the realm of spirit and arwah and malakut, then Allah is sending the wahi. That's why the wahi to the Prophet was in a form of dreams for first 6 months. That's why Hazrat Ibrahim, what did Ibrahim saw? Ibrahim saw his son. Where was his son? Was his son not in the realm of Alam Azhar? He was there, but it did not have any form as such. It was the world of spirits. But when Ismail comes to this world, Ibrahim recognizes how Ismail looks like. And then what does Ibrahim do? Ibrahim dreams. What does he dream? He's slaughtering Ismail. Ismail saw a knife. Was knife there in the world of spirit? The knife wasn't there. But so man have to go through these different stages. It's like a spiral, journey. It's a descent and an ascent and an ascent, descent and an ascent. It just continues. And we keep on accumulating and acquiring perfection as we are traveling. And death comes to happen in one of the stations. Death is one of the stations. Death is one of the stages of this spiral, perfection that we are on a journey with. Right? So here Hazrat Ibrahim saw in the dream, right? The forms were given. That's how the art of interpretation of dream comes about. That through these forms, you connect it to something which is higher reality. So the dream was seen, and it was a form of what? Of the sacrifice. Of what? Of that annihilation, of tawheed, of fana, of the command of Allah. How much Ibrahim is focused towards the tawheed of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That was the reality of it. But how it is in this form of a sacrifice. So the dream interpretation is also, once again, dream interpretation. Look how beautiful that science is. How beautiful that discipline is. It comes from the Quran. It's also come under the occult science as well, the interpretation of dream. Ibn Sirin was one of the famous one. There are many narrations from Imam Ja'far as-Sadiq alayhi salam in regards to dream interpretation. A person sees a dream, and he saw the dream that he is sealing the private parts and the mouths of people. Oops. He's sealing the private parts and the mouths of people. He had a dream. And he went and he goes and says, I saw a dream to the dreamer. He says, actually, you will be muazzin, who gives azan. Because through giving azan, the mouths and the private parts are sealed. You see how things relate. The reality of that dream that he saw was something else. That is an honor of a position that this will have, right? So therefore, the barzakh, or the what do you call human beings? They have that capability and capacity of that. That's imagination, and through this imagination, they enter the world of barzakh. They enter the world of spirits and malakut. So we gain that, what do you call, skills through this world, through this physical world, and we enter the real world, which is the world of barzakh and imagination. And we see the real forms. And what forms do we see? The forms that we have gained here. How would you find me? How would you find me? How would I find you, O son? Ismail says, you will find me from the sabirin. I will do sabr. I will be patient in front of what you will be doing. That's the reality of Ismail in terms of his virtue, in terms of his spirit, is that he is from the sabirin, which is reflecting the name of Allah, which is sabir. Right? So it's connecting from the physical world to that spiritual world. So here in this dunya now, a lesson for us to take is that as we are here, as we are growing, as we understand gradually and gradually, we are supposed to accumulate, pass through the vegetative stage to the animalistic stage of our soul, and reach to that human, true human, intellectual stage. That's why one of a great scholar, Azizuddin and Nasafi, he says this beautifully. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Have you not recognized that each thing fulfills its fixed function, but that man can necessarily fulfill the functions of all? Each thing has its own function, but man fulfills the fixed, position of everything. Everything that the creation is doing, we are doing within ourselves, right? Thus, man is defined in the sense that he can assume the qualities of every other creature. So he can assume the qualities of every creature. If I am someone who does not recognize the halal and haram and don't care about it, which creature doesn't do that? Is this pig? Is the swine? Doesn't make any difference between food and which is not food. That's why when Shimr was on the chest of Hussein, Hussein said, my Rasulullah have said it right, that the creature, that the beast that will kill me will have a head of a pig and a body of, a body which will have spots on it. It was not a single animal. Because Shimr have acquired those qualities because of his actions. So if our actions are animal-like, our face might be like a human face. Our form will be like a human form. But our soul, which we are acquiring, because soul have the capacity and capability to correspond to those names, right? And acquire them, right? And even there, I will be critical enough to say that. That is, even there, if I acquire a quality of, for example, the wrath, the ghazab of Allah, right? Which will imbalance the quality of, the Rahmaniyat and the mercy, then I will become like a wolf. Fir'aun, for example. Musa and Fir'aun, good examples. Fir'aun also manifest, because he is created. Fir'aun is also insan. He's been created in the image of Allah. But Fir'aun manifests the imbalance. He's manifesting the jalal. He's not manifesting the jamal. But Musa is manifesting jalal and jamal both. That's the balance. So therefore, human beings, they may have the form of an insan, but because of their actions, what they are doing, they change their form to animals. That's why, Agha Bahjat, they say that he was able to see the real forms of the souls because he has reached to the point of kamal and perfection. Nothing was hidden from him. Everything was zahir and batin as he was manifesting those names of knowing the ghaib. Allah is the one who knows the ghaib. Allamul ghuyub, right? He is the knowledgeable one. So when he would see people, he would not even look to them. He would look on the floor usually. Because they asked him, what is the zikr that you do the most? The zikr, the chanting that you do the most. He said, I do the zikr of Sattar. Because I don't want to see the limitation and faults of people. In what faces they are. Agha Hassan Zadeh Amali, who recently died, he was a polymath. He was an expert in all occult sciences and astronomy, geometry and all that. Our scholars in the past, they were polymath. Polymath meaning that they were expert in different fields. Hawza Ilmiya seminary, they used to write music. They used to teach music. Ibn Sina have written music. Sheikh Bahai, who was an architect of the haram of Imam Raza alayhi salam and the haram of Amirul Mu'mineen, he constructed the haram of Amirul Mu'mineen in such a fashion that when the sun will rise, the rays will come to the dehliz of Amirul Mu'mineen, to the doorstep of Amirul Mu'mineen, Sheikh Bahai, right, from Isfahan. He was from Isfahan. And he also constructed he was the architect for the haram of Imam Rada alayhi salam, and he's buried in the haram of Imam Rada alayhi salam. And when he died in Isfahan. And in those times, there was no cars and stuff. This body was brought from Isfahan and buried in Mashhad. And it took like a week or more, but his body was intact and pure. Right? So Sheikh Bahai, he wrote, apart from him being a philosopher, a faqih, and all that, right? He wrote music as well. And it was a discipline. And because music is the first reality, as we were talking about kun fayakun. That's why Quran is very poetic. And then after that is speech. There are different levels. You have that sound, kun, and then you have music in the nature. From this music you have poetry. From this poetry you have speech, which is the lowest level. You know what I mean? So Sheikh Bahai says that he said, I will compose music, and with this music, I will make sure that you all sleep when he will play that. And he played, and everybody slept in the class. So I will say, Sheikh Bahai, you don't have to compose music. Just call me, I'll give a speech, everybody will sleep. So I don't know why he composed music. Right? So Sheikh Bahai, he did that, because music has a very powerful is a very powerful tool, especially in autism. They use a lot of music in order to teach, because the spectrum, right? And also, Allama Tabatabai's brother, Muhammad Hassan Tabatabai, who was also an amazing scholar, he wrote a book on music. And Allama Tabatabai mentioned this in the interview which he gave in the book called The Shining Sun. Mehr Taban is the Farsi one. The Shining Sun is the English translation of it. ICAS, the Islamic College of London, have translated this text. It's by Sayyid Muhammad Hussain Tehrani. This book, in an interview, he says that my brother Muhammad Hassan Ilahiya Tabatabai wrote a book on music, and then he destroyed himself because he did not want this book to be reached to people that will misuse this. Through music, people reach to perfection and kamal, because it's the music of the soul. It moves the soul, right? We are not talking about the fiqh aspect of music, what it is, and halal and haram. We can discuss that in our Q&A session later on. But this is something which is there as a reference. You can go look at it, in terms of what do you call the book Shining Sun. So, Salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. So I was mentioning that according to whether he assumes the qualities of this or that creature, it is the creature that he becomes, even though outwardly he may have the form of a man. So he may have a form of a man, but in the inner reality is that he's actually an animal, because what he has accumulated and acquired. The fifth Imam says, it's been mentioned in history that fifth Imam was heavy. He was a bit heavyweight, and they say that he liked food. He enjoyed food. And they asked him, you enjoy food, how come, Amirul Mu'mineen, your Ajdad used to eat dry, salt, but you enjoy food, you like food. He said, yes, I enjoy food, but I am very careful of what is the source of the food. Is it halal or haram? That is important. As the Quran says that, قُلْ إِنَّ الصَّلَاةِ تَنْهَى عَنِ الْفَحْشَى وَالْمُنْكَرِ وَلِذِكْرِ اللَّهِ الْأَكْبَرِ. Certainly salat will protect you from evil and corruption. قُلْ إِنَّ الصَّلَاةِ تَنْهَى عَنِ الْفَحْشَى وَالْمُنْكَرِ. From fahsha and munkar, salat will protect you. However, وَلِذِكْرُ اللَّهِ, the zikr of Allah is akbar. The zikr of Allah is greater than salat. So some of the Sufis, they say that, okay, the zikrullah is akbar, so let's just chant and forget the prayers. So they just do the chanting, right? The sixth Imam have hadith, he says the zikrullah akbar is actually the halal and haram of Allah.
Because if I eat halal and pray, then that salat will be tanha anil fasha wal munkar. If I eat haram and pray, that is wailun lil musallin. The Quran itself says lanat on those who are worshipping. Those who killed Imam Hussain alayhi salam, they were, worshippers of prayer. They were reciters of Quran. What type of Quran? What type of prayers? Wailun lil musallin. So tanha anil fasha. So food, for example, if I am watchful over what I am eating and in terms of halal and haram, it's very important. Now, as time is kind of coming to close. What time are we supposed to finish? 45? 46. Just very briefly, what happens is that as now this person reaches, as we know man now to a certain degree, to a certain extent, now this man reaches to that hour where he has to leave this body. Sadra says that, when the soul is ready and prepared to enter barzakh, it automatically and it naturally leaves this body. Just like how a baby is ready to come to this world, it just comes out of the womb to this world. Because the lungs have developed, the eyes have developed, right? The muscles have developed to suck, to eat, to survive in this world. It just naturally comes here. So therefore, the same way, when human beings are ready to dwell in the world of barzakh as it's entering the next world, right? Naturally, the soul leaves this body. Naturally, the soul is a part and parcel of it. However, the leaving of the soul have been depicted or described in the Quran in 4 different ways. There are certain souls that leaves this body of mu'mineen in a very best way, without any, ya ayyatuhal nafsil mutma'inna irja'i ila rabbika radiyatan mardiya. Leave very peacefully. But there are some mu'mineen soul, as the hadith of the 6th Imam says, that it has a lot of problem, difficulties. It says kafara. This is the kafara of the mu'mineen, when they are leaving this dunya, for example. Or, for example, there are some kuffar who dies in a very peaceful death. There the hadith says that because they have done really good in this world, because of that, Allah wants to return the favors, what they have done. So Allah does not want to hurt them, and pay them back in this dunya. That's why they leave in the best way. The 4th way of leaving the soul, the Quran describes that the angel will slap the back of the zalimeen, those who have done zulm, and ask them to leave this dunya. And then who are the takers of the soul? As the Quran talks about in the 3 different ways, they are either Allahu yatawaffa, anfus hina mautiha. Allah will take the soul at the time of death. Or malaika, or angels will come and take the soul. Or malak will come and take the soul, which we'll talk about a little bit in detail tomorrow perhaps. But here I would like to, it's an eve of Shab Jummeh, it's an eve of Ziyarat of Abdullah al-Hussein, when Imam Zainul Abidin was in the courtyard of Ibn Ziyad. Then Ibn Ziyad wanted to make fun of Imam Zainul Abidin and the defeat of Imam Hussain alayhi salam. He says that, how did we kill your father? He wanted to disrespect Imam Zainul Abidin. And here Imam Zainul Abidin used the verse of the Quran which says, Allahu yatawaffa. Allah is the one who takes the soul. And to take the soul of Hussein, it was no malak. It was no malakul maut. It was Allah who came from the throne to take the soul of Hussein. Because that is the soul of Hussein. Who is Hussein? Right? As we are in the month of Ramadan, the month of Ramadan, we are known as the guest of Allah. We become guest of Allah 2 times. One, when we are Haji, we are guest of Allah. Labbaik Allahumma labbaik. That's the guest in terms of the makan. And there is a guest of Zaman, which is the month of Ramadan, where everybody becomes the guest of Allah. So either we are guest of Allah in the time of Zamani, or we are guest of Allah in terms of Makani. But sometimes Allah becomes the guest. Not we become the guest of Allah, but Allah becomes the guest. Allah from the arsh comes down to the heart of a mu'min which is broken. Allah is the guest of those hearts which are broken. My dear brothers and sisters, these hearts are broken. When we look around the world, the situation of Muslims, what they are going through, these hearts are broken. Honor these hearts. Those hearts which are broken, honor them. Those hearts which are broken, respect them. Those hearts which are broken, be close to them. Those hearts which are broken, help them, assist them. Right? So these hearts are broken. Broken from the being far away from the reappearance of our 12th Imam. These hearts are broken. And that's why Imam Hussein, when he was giving wasiyah to Imam Sajjad alayhi salam, he says that, be wary of the heart that is broken, in which there is Allah, and this heart find no one as a helper but Allah. And that's how Hussein was. On the day of Ashura, when he comes and wakes up Imam Sajjad alayhi salam, because Imam Sajjad was unconscious, and as soon as Imam Sajjad comes to conscious, he sees Imam Hussein alayhi salam in armor. He says, Baba, are you intending to go and fight? He said, yes, Sajjad. Where is Ali Akbar? Imam Hussein says, Ali Akbar is no longer. Where is Abbas? Abbas is no longer. Before Imam Sajjad asks, where is Ali Asghar? Imam Hussein stops Sajjad by putting the hand on the chest. Sajjad, know that in this qiyam there are two men, either you or me, and no one else. And here they exchange the amana of wilaya, and the amanat was given to Imam Sajjad alayhi salam, and Imam Hussein departs. When Imam Hussein was about to depart, Zainab stops and says, Baba, brother, I would like to fulfill the wasiyah of our mother. What was the wasiyah of our mother? Hussein, when he's parting the final farewell, kissed the neck of Hussein. Then Hussein says, I remember something. And that was the wasiyat of the father, which I haven't mentioned to anybody, because everybody asked me when father was leaving on the 21st of Ramadan. He called me and he said something in my ear as a wasiyah. And after that words, everybody asked me that, what did your father say? I have never mentioned this, but today is the day. Oh Zainab, come forward, show me your shoulders. Our father I have asked to kiss the hands of yours, because that's where the ropes will be tied after I leave. Hussein departs, fights a furious battle, kills many, and that hour occurs where Hussein is falling from that steed. And he says, oh mother, it's the time that you come now. And mother have arrived. Mother is there. And here Shimr from the Qiyam goes towards severing the head of Hussein. And he sits on the chest of Hussein. And Hussein says, oh Shimr, you are sitting on a very high position. You know what is this? This is the chest where Rasulullah used to kiss from here till here. And then Shimr, about to use the dagger to sever the head of Hussein, he says he sees something. I'm going to explain this manifestation that takes place at that hour, because there's no day like the day of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein alayhi salam. That Shimr says that I'm going to sever the head of Zainab and Hussein together. Shimr thinks that Zainab is there. That poet, that Marsiya of Miranis, that O Shimr tu nabina hai, ye Zainab nahi Zahra hai. O Shimr, you're blind. This is not Zainab, this is the mother Zahra who have arrived in the plain of Karbala. Allah la'anatullah ala qawm al-zalimin, sayalamu alladhina zalamu ayyamun qalibin yanqalibun. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن